Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you have had a good day or are having a good day. I recently did a video on 5 subtle ROCD compulsions. So today I want to do one on 5 subtle contamination OCD compulsions that you might be doing. So if you like our channel, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel, comment, like, give us feedback, talk to us, the usual stuff. And share this video, like share these videos with other people that you might think might find it helpful. So the first one on my list that I want to go for is when asking where something has been from. So, like for example, I mean, I didn't know how to word it exactly, but like when someone is trying to like hand you some kind of object, you try to ask them, like, oh, where's this from? Oh, did you get this from that store? Or was this on the counter? Did you pick it up from the sofa? So you try to figure out that the object that you're about to touch, where it's been, what surfaces has it touched, who touched it, was it clean, was it not clean, was it near something that was dirty, was it in a place that you thought was contaminated. So it's essentially you trying to aim for that kind of certainty and trying to know exactly the entire map of where things are coming from, or and trying to protect yourself from that, like, in your head, that exaggerated imaginary risk and absolute danger and threat to your well-being and your life, essentially. So that's why you kind of try to figure out, you try to ask, you try to know where something has been or not. So obviously that's a compulsion, and that really does not help us move forward with recovery, because the idea is to embrace uncertainty, and the idea is to not try to figure things out and not try to analyze things. I did this like a lot. When if I would not be sure where something had been from, I would try to just casually bring it up in conversation so that I would get the answer to it. And if it was something that I thought was contaminated, I wouldn't even touch it. I wouldn't even go near it. Or if I did, if I really had to, I would obviously follow that up with a lot of compulsions. So um again, the hair situation in the last few videos has been just like not great timing. But yeah, so that's one compulsion, and that might be subtle because you might be like, because you're so used to doing that compulsion, that for you at this point it might just be like a casual thing to ask. But it's actually you, if you really think about what would happen if you don't ask about it, or like if somebody did not tell you where that thing or object had been or where it's from, just imagine how uncomfortable that would make you feel. And it most likely will, if that's a compulsion for you, then it most likely will make you uncomfortable not knowing. So, and that in itself is an indication for you that you have been doing a compulsion all this time. Number two is considering yourself an introvert. So again, this was another big one for me, where I had slowly started to recede into my bedroom space, which in my previous videos I've also mentioned was the only place and space where I felt safe and comfortable and clean. My bed essentially was the only spot in the house that was not contaminated. So what eventually started to happen was that one step at a time, I started to recede. I started to minimize my time spent socializing with people, spend minimizing time that I spent with guests that came into the house, or just like found it just very tiring and an absolute fatigue to get dressed and go out and meet people. So to completely avoid all of that, I started to think that, oh, I just need me time. I mean, I became so convinced in and by those compulsions, I became so used to those compulsions that I actually started to think that I am just an introvert, and or I'm becoming an introvert. I mean, I've never really considered myself fully an introvert. Even right now, I think I consider myself what they call like an ambivert. I don't know if that's an actual term or not, or if that's like just an informal concept that people have come up with. But I do still enjoy some me time, but I also really like going out and meeting people and hanging out with them and stuff. So Anyway, but I really started to think back then that I was turning into an introvert, and I thought, oh, maybe in my early 20s, in my mid 20s, I'm just like, I just don't like going out that much anymore. I'm not as high energy and like all excited as I used to be. But I mean, obviously, as I began to really take a look at my compulsions, my behaviors, and my fears and my irrational beliefs, I thought, you know what? I mean, actually, this is all just me making excuses. My brain making excuses and coming up with reasons to not face any kind of discomfort, anxiety, exhaustion, any of those things. I'm just completely avoiding. So, you staying in the house, you not going out, is you actually just uh, avoiding facing fears and avoiding facing any kind of discomfort. And I'm not saying that, oh, you are actually an extrovert and now you've become an introvert. Like, even maybe before experiencing OCD, maybe you were an introvert already. But what I'm saying is that this is often because we generally don't, even introverts do go out, obviously, but because you feel so uncomfortable, this becomes like a given reason that, oh, I am an introvert, that's why I'm not going out. But it's not actually that. It's actually you just knowing that you will be going in a war zone of complete anxiety and paralyzing fear. That's what happened with me, at least. I mean, there were a lot of places where I just didn't want to go to, and because I knew if I would go there, I would constantly be analyzing, checking, avoiding, just being careful of, oh my god, can I place my hand here? Can I sit in that chair? Can I talk to that person? Can I be? I mean, it was just this constant like analysis of where the danger lies. So I would just stay at home. So don't do that. That doesn't, again, that reinforces for your brain that going out actually is a scary thing and therefore it must be avoided. But it's slowly about breaking that habit of staying in and putting yourself out there. Number three is so this is for people who might have a contamination fear related to getting poisoned or getting sick or getting ill, like that kind of overlap with health OCD perhaps, is reading ingredients and reading the composition of things when you buy them. So when you're out in the store, if you're buying like canned food or any kind of actually thing, you might be looking at the ingredients because maybe like some well, a few days ago maybe you read on the internet that this specific like chemical or this specific form of glucose is harmful for the body and it can give you like, I don't know, cancer or diabetes, or it might make you might give you paralysis or like whatever kind of things that Dr. Google gives you. On it gives you like the absolute worst thing ever in the world. So just like I mean, and people do generally, like non OCD sufferers do read ingredients sometimes, especially people who are going to the gym. They want to make sure what they're eating is fine, or if someone has allergies. But um, doing this can, for like an OCD sufferer, if you like have that fear, then it can become this compulsive thing of like, again, making sure that, oh, I must not fall ill. If I fall ill, I will not be able to handle it. So that I can't stand it is coming in the way of you not being able to embrace uncertainty and not taking discomfort for the ride and wearing anxiety like an uncomfortable coat. So just, I mean, but I feel like most people don't even read things. Like I buy things and I just pick them up and put them in the, what do you call it? Trolley? Yeah. In the cart or, I mean, there's a difference between like American English and British English. Some things work with the British English, some things work in American English. I call it the trolley, then it must be the trolley then. Number four is changing sheets, throwing your clothes in the wash. So, or like dedicating specific clothes for specific activities. So, again, I did this quite a lot. So, I mean, there were some things that I really couldn't completely avoid doing. Those were like contaminated activities for me, or things that I knew would make me feel contaminated. So I thought, okay, if I must really do them, then I will at least uh, like do them in specific clothes, or like clothes dedicated just for those kinds of activities. I don't want to, this dress shirt that I really like, I don't want to do any contaminated activities in this, because I don't want to associate these nice clothes that I like with anything related to my OCD. So just like making that kind of bifurcation in your closet, or like in your bed sheets, or any of that kind of thing, I think that's also like it's a very subtle, very you don't even notice it. It almost becomes like, I just prefer not to wear this today. I mean, it's almost that kind of narrative that gets built in your head, because it becomes so second nature in that sense. So just like creating that differentiation between in your closet, or thinking that, okay, I'm going to wear these clothes if I must really do this or go to that place. I'll just wear these clothes, so that as soon as I come home, I can just throw them in the laundry. And the same with, like, again, bed sheets, or like any other thing that, or table mats, or anything that you're putting out in your house. So I did that a lot. My closet was basically divided into um, clothes that I really liked, and I did not want to like associate them with anything related to OCD or my compulsions or contamination, and then clothes that I really didn't care about, in the sense that I would wear them specifically to places where or during activities that I absolutely did not like. And it's also that you just don't want to associate one thing with the other, and it's that you're trying to essentially keep your OCD in a cage. You're saying to OCD that, okay, this is the boundary, and you are not going to cross that boundary. You're not going to take over my entire life. I'm giving you this little corner, and this is where OCD stays, and this is where my life stays. But that's not how OCD works. I mean, your anxiety does not work like that. It does not stay in a little corner or in a little box in the closet. It has to, not has to, I mean, where it is spilled over into like your daily activities and your daily behaviors. Whether you notice it or not, that's how it is. And you just want to, what's the word for, you just want to contain the danger and the threat in that sense in your life. So but OCD always finds a way to cross that boundary and like try to get at you from another angle or another way. So you cannot, it's not really like a monster that has to be tamed necessarily. So yeah. Number 5 is using your knuckles or your elbow or your clothes, your t-shirt, to do things, but not using your full hand. So again, I think when I initially started to make progress with OCD, I what I was doing was I still wasn't using my full hand to like grab something. So, for example, if this is an object, I mean, okay, wait, okay, I'll use this as an example. This is just a little decoration box that I have on my bedside. What's happening to me? This was actually something that I could not touch in the past. This was contaminated for me, but hey. So what I started to do initially when my anxiety started to go down was that I still wasn't using my full hand to hold something. I was like maybe doing this or doing this just to hold something and to pick it up from one place to another. So the idea was that, oh, I mean, the in between of my, if something is getting contaminated, the in between of my fingers will get contaminated, but not my full hand. So my hand on the surface is still clean. In between, it can be dirty, sure, but just the in between of my fingers can be contaminated. So I was still, or like maybe just using my t-shirt to just be like, okay, I'm going to hold this, and um, or using my knuckles, or just using my elbows to, if I had to move something or open the door, so I would just do this. um, so I mean, that's also a very subtle compulsion, because it gives you the illusion that, oh, I'm not avoiding, I'm still touching things, I'm still like doing things, and I'm not performing like 10 compulsions after this, so technically, I mean, I should be okay. I'm doing fine. But again, this is also, you're still acting out of fear, you're still, I mean, this is really good progress even to get to this point as well. I'm not saying that this is completely terrible. For me, it took a lot to even get to this point. But if you are just continuing being this way long term, then you are just coasting, because you are still operating based on fear. You still have that nagging fear in the background of, oh my god, what if the fear is true? What if I do get contaminated? What if I touch something and I do, what if it does ruin my life, or ruin me or my health or my well-being? What if it does make me anxious? So you are still trying to kind of avoid the fear. You're still trying to avoid that kind of discomfort and not really fully going in. So the again, and this is something that Rob also says, like the exposure that you are not doing, or the exposure that you're completely avoiding, is your path to freedom. So you not using your full hand is, I mean, when you start doing it, that's where you will feel even freer than you did before. So yeah, I mean, like, all of these are essentially aimed at, number one, not wanting to embrace uncertainty, or and feeling very, very uncomfortable not knowing the answer to something, or just feeling like you do not have control over the environment or people around you. These, so control, certainty, this absolute aversion to discomfort, avoidance, these are the things that are essentially fueling these five subtle compulsions. Maybe they might not be even subtle to you. You might even be like, hey, no, I'm aware of them, that, and I'm still doing them. In that case, that then, like, please stop doing them. Give yourself that push. Give yourself that chance to recover from this, and be in an even more like better place with your recovery. So yeah, I just want to touch on those. I don't know, something is happening with my tongue, and I'm not able to speak as fluently. I'm getting like stuck somewhere in between. Hey, maybe it's the start of another OCD theme. No, it's not. Just kidding. I hope it's not. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this helpful and informative. And let me know if there are any other compulsions that you might be doing, that we can maybe include in future lists of compulsions that you might be doing. So, all right. Take care. Good night. Good day. Good afternoon. Whatever it is on your end right now. Bye bye.